So I'm going to go over what just has worked for me. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it, guys. So let's say...
Definition of.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, man. I'm Matt. If you're here, you know where you are. You're in the lab. Your first time here, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hit the subscribe button, the post notification bell. That way you know every time we upload one of these videos. Like, all that shit helps, man. Thank you so much to everybody that has subscribed. If you're here all the time and you're in the comments, thank you, man. That's awesome. I try to reply to everybody's comment. I think that's super important to show participation if you're going to show participation. So what I wanted to do a video on was something that I have gotten multiple questions about. And I think that it is a prevalent problem because of poor communication, maybe. I want to go over some things that you, as someone that is buying an animal, let's say you don't know, this is your first animal, this is your second animal, and your first one did great, whatever. I'm going to go over some questions that I feel like have worked out for me to ask breeders, and things that you can do to have the best and healthiest and happiest relationship with your snake. We're going to really talk about ball pythons today, because that's what we have the majority of as babies and have produced, know how they work, what's best for them. So I'm going to go over what just has worked for me. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it, guys. So let's say you're looking at a snake. You're either in a Facebook group, you're on Morph Market. So let's go over real quick a couple things that I ask breeders. Let's just say that. I don't want in any way, shape, or form to it sound like I know better than anybody, or I even know what the fuck I'm talking about, to be honest with you. I'm just sharing my experiences. So, I always ask them, what's it eating? That's very important because some people might not have access to mice if it's on mice. Some breeders feed live because they have so many. It's easier to just drop a live animal into their tub and go back and check it. Some people might not want to feed live. They may want to feed frozen thawed. So it's always a good question to ask. Hey, what's this guy eating? You want to find out weight. You want to find out if it has any kind of a feeding problem. Is it a good eater? Is it a bad eater? A good breeder will tell you all of these things. You want to find out what substrate it's on. Is it on wet paper towels? Is it on newspaper? Is it on, cocoa, whatever, Reptichip, Freedom Breeder stuff, Pro Cocoa, whatever. Is it on that? Is it on, a lot of people are using hemp now. Is it on hemp? What temperature do you have it at? Are you running ambient temperatures? Do you have a hot spot? What's the hot spot? I know that some people get frustrated when you ask questions because some people forget what it's like to not really know everything they know. You know, I mean, they forget that at one point they were figuring these things out or asking those questions themselves. So I have no problem with people asking me questions on how to set up their snakes. So let's say you bought a snake and you have asked all those questions. What I'm going to tell you is our hatchlings, we're talking about hatchlings now. Our hatchlings, this is our hatchling rack back here, okay? It stays at anywhere between 88 and 90 degrees, okay? Each one of the hatchlings, not all of them have this. This is for later, actually. Anyway, but what all of them do have is they have a 6-quart container with usually a wet paper towel. This is dry, just because I threw it in here to show you, and just a glass, easy to clean cup from Walmart. It's a glass from Walmart. They come in. These are the best, you know. They come in packs like that. You can buy a shitload of them. Every one of the hatchlings has one. They make bigger ones in case they tip these over. But the idea behind this, in my mind, is simplicity. So, okay, you have bought a snake from me. This is where it has spent its entire life, okay? So, you're going to get that snake home, and so many times when we get something, we want, I want it to have the most room so it can go everywhere and stretch out, and I want it to have vines so it will look like whatever, you know. We want to put these things in its environment, when truth be told, ball pythons, like we are talking about, need the most simple setups you can imagine. So, that being said, I'm going to go over something that has worked for me, to kind of tell you what I would suggest instead of putting your, again, hatchling baby, had maybe 5-6 meals in its entire life, ball python, instead of putting it into an aquarium, or even if you have a front opening glass, Echo Terra, whatever it's called, before you put them in that, I would suggest putting your new ball python into something similar to this. Something similar to this, just to get it established at your house. Help it gain some confidence, because that's so important in ball pythons, is confidence. You know, they'll go off food because they didn't like the way you filled up their water bottle or water container the Tuesday before last. I mean, we're talking about some of the pickiest animals on the planet. So, what I would suggest, if you don't want to get a 6-quart shoebox tub, okay, go to Walmart. This is a 15-quart Sterilite tub, okay? You need to put some holes in it somehow with a drill, with a hot glue gun, or not a hot glue gun, a soldering iron works great, and you'll need some sort of a heat, you know, an under tank heater works best, but I will say with an under tank heater, it needs to be probe controlled. You will need some sort of a thermostat between this surface and your under tank heater, okay? The thermostat can go right in here. There's a great video Kevin McCurley from Nerd did explaining that. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but you will need a thermostat. Perfect example is one that's just like this. This is an old Zilla dial thermostat. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have probably pulled that down and got it a little bit more ready, other than yanking it out of a rack. But that has a probe on it. The probe needs to go right here, and you can literally tape your heat to the back of this. I would suggest, instead of putting leaps and everything else in there, either get, everybody has it. That's all it needs. That's all it needs. And if you want to go the extra mile, that right there, that setup is all that baby needs for the first quite some time. Because, you know, once it gains a little bit of confidence, it'll be great for you. It'll eat like clockwork, you know, and some of them will eat regardless what you put them in, you know, and that's something, again, communication with your breeder. Your breeder should tell you, you know, oh man, this girl eats like crazy. I've never had a problem with it, you know, and you should be able to tell that within the first 2 to 3 feedings that, oh my God, she'll eat anything, you know. You're just going to end up with a lot happier animal, a better relationship with your animal, because once you put it in that gigantic 10 to 20 gallon aquarium with all the plants, and you might have a waterfall, whatever you think it needs, I promise you it doesn't. That's all it needs. It needs something to hide under. It needs something easy to clean, because it will need fresh water, and something that you can clean up very easily, because it's going to go to the bathroom. When it gets established, whenever it gets its confidence up, you know, 6 months to a year down the road, move it into whatever you want to move it in, as long as you can keep the temperature and the humidity where it needs to be. We're talking again about a hatchling you have just received in the mail. Okay? Communication is key with the people you get your animals from. There's so many fantastic breeders that will just tell you everything you need to know, because they've been with that animal, they've produced it, they may have produced its grandmother. You know, that goes back to researching who you get your animals from and just buying quality. But I hope that really helps somebody. If anybody has any questions, you know, again, all you will really need is a smaller Sterilite tub, a heat source probe controlled by a thermostat, some clean water, clean bedding, and something for it to hide in. You know, these animals live in abandoned holes in the ground, or termite mounds, you know. I mean, they live in tiny spaces, and that's what they want. They don't want gigantic. They feel so vulnerable in big areas. They won't eat for you. They will probably become very defensive. They'll have problems shedding. The list will just go on and on. So I know some people don't enjoy seeing an animal in a tub, you know, and I get that as well. You've paid maybe $600-700 for a very beautiful animal, you know. I've got some of the most amazing looking animals I have ever seen, reptile wise, in these tubs, but they have to stay in these tubs, unfortunately, because that's what's best for them. Okay, so we've talked about housing. Let's talk about food. A lot of people don't like feeding live, you know, and I understand that. I completely understand that. If you have a concern, maybe reach out to the breeder, and again, communication, ask them. So does it eat live? Does it eat frozen thawed? Whatever. If it eats live and you don't have access to live, or you don't want to feed live, you know, maybe bring it up. Maybe say, hey, well, I don't really have access to live food. Is there any way maybe you could switch it over to frozen thawed? And you know, that's not necessarily an easy task when you have 100 or so other animals, and they could very well tell you, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. You know, you may, if it's that important to you, offer a little bit more money. Do whatever. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can take on the task of getting it switched over to frozen thawed, but in doing that, you may have to, at some point, if it's not eating, get it a live prey item. Because, truth be told, it's not really about what we want. Just like with the plants and all that shit in your aquarium, in your enclosure, it's not what about we want. That's aesthetically pleasing to us. Not feeding the animal a live prey item is easy for our eyes and our heart. We don't want to see that little rat die. Oh, I mean, it sucks, yes, but that's what you took on owning this animal. And if there's one thing anyone knows about me, you know that I am fucking real. And that's it. That's what it boils down to, you know. Sometimes owning animals isn't for everyone, you know. And that comes down to it with snakes as well. You can't starve it until it finally decides to eat what you want it to eat. You know, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So, again, I hope that has helped someone. Communication is key with your breeders. Always buy from a breeder, because I guarantee you go to Petco and you get the fancy ball or whatever the fuck they call it. That's $400 overpriced what I would have sold it to you for, by the way. They don't know anything about that damn thing. So, it always pays to do your research, ask around. Somebody in 2020 knows somebody that breeds ball pythons. You put it out there on Facebook, somebody knows somebody. I guarantee it. So, I think that's it. I really feel like we hit on everything I wanted to hit on. Shout out to my boy Brian, man. The fucking badass shirt. I'm super stoked on this Sailor Surface shirt. Brian is another tattooer just like me. Does different work than I do. He does traditional. I mean, I imagine my 5-year-old could do it too, but that's a tattooer joke, because some people say traditional tattoos are so easy. They're actually super fucking hard. It's not. I mean, there's no way I could do a traditional tattoo. So hats off to Brian, man. I love your fucking shirts. I think they're dope. You guys, I hope the video helps. Remember, less is better. Smaller is better. This is where they came from. You put them in something like that, you're gonna have problems, guys. But the good thing about me is that I will help you through any of those problems. If you bought one of our animals, even if you didn't, and you need some help, reach out, man. That's just how we are here. So, I think I'm going to go in here and hang out with Sarah for a little while, you guys. I think I have a tattoo to draw as well. So, PMA, talk to you later. I'm out. Take it easy, guys.